Up, guys? It's Migs. I'm going to go ahead and do the market open recap. As you can tell, I did not have a very good day. It's basically exactly like it happened yesterday. I'm down about 220 on the day. Um, and it was just really not my day. I had some false breakdowns, and you'll see an overall trend of what happened today. I would get in, and it would just not go my way, or have some sort of fault breakdowns or false breakouts. So my first trade was on ICHR. My first trade on ICHR was the over the highs here. It was actually, let's see here. So this was actually for a continuation play from yesterday. So as you can tell on here, I had a very good day yesterday. I was looking for it to continue its trend. And with this candle being very bullish, I bought it over the highs right here at 31.34. I got filled in right here at 31.40. And I wrote it up all the way to 32.15, which is a 2-to-1 risk to reward. I was risking about a whole dollar right here, about to 31, so I was risking about 40 cents on that. And so I wrote it up, and I ended up making 225 or something like that. Could have been done right there, but there were just too many movers for me to just stop. So I got rid of 250 there at 32.15, and then I got it near the top and it actually started coming down, so I got rid of the rest at 32.11. As you can see right around here, it actually started coming back down, so I got rid of it, and then it actually came right back up. Now my next trade was on ALB. So ALB here was called out by somebody in the room. It was gapping down. It wasn't actually even on my watch list this morning, I don't think. No, it wasn't even on my watch list this morning, but this is something. It's halfway of what I look for. This loss right here. It wasn't very big at all. As you can tell, it was only, well, actually no, I added that trade, so it was around $100. But just like I usually look for, I look for a trend down. It pulls back up, and as it breaks support, I short it. So I actually ended up shorting it right around the 117 mark. And I added another 50 shares at 116.90. Actually, I probably did it on the 1 minute chart. That'd probably be a little bit more clear. Here we go. Right here. Okay. So as you can tell on here, it came up all the way to 118. It came down below the 9. Now, where my mistake was is that I usually short things under the 9 under VWAP. So that's what I should have done. I let basically other people's judgment kind of guide my trade, and that's kind of where I messed up. So on here, as you can tell, it broke, but then it came right back up to 118. It actually kicked me out at 117.99. Okay, so with this, I should have gotten out as it broke over the whole number, but at that point in my mind, that thing was just, it was gonna go. So I got out right at what was it, 117.99. Looking back on it, I probably should have held it. As you can see, the high was 118, and my stop would actually have been 118.01. So I never would have gotten kicked out. Now, so I lost $100 on that. Then I went back to ICHR. This is kind of where I think I probably got a little greedy here. So 32.04. So as you can see, it pulled all the way back to the 32 mark. And a lot of the times for a first pullback buy, I will wait for some sort of bull flag or something to form. But a lot of the times lately, this whole week, I've been seeing stocks hit the 9, hit VWAP, and then just get bought right back up. But as you can see, I ended up catching, if you've never heard this term, catching a falling knife. You're not waiting for the pattern to develop, and you're not buying it on the way back up. What you're doing is you're trying to catch the bottom, which is, I will tell you, it is almost near impossible to try to catch something at the bottom. It's very hard. You can try and build a position, and as it's going your way, you add to the position. But usually what I do is I wait for the pattern to develop, and then I go in full size. So as you can see on here, this did not happen today. So it hit the 9 and VWAP, but it actually kept falling. I ended up actually adding at 31.87. since my stop was actually going to be at 31.80, I believe. So let's go back to the 1 minute. Yeah, so my stop was actually going to be down here. Oh, actually, no, I take that back. What did I say? 31.50. Yeah, that's what it was. It was going to be 31.50 was actually going to be my stop. And let's see, when was that? I got kicked out right at 10:01, so probably right here. Yep. So I was going to use 31.50 as my stop, just as a max pain tolerance, like I don't want to lose any more money sort of deal. And it flushed down all the way down to 31, so obviously I got kicked out. And I ended up catching that falling knife. I broke my rule. I didn't wait for the pattern to develop, and I ended up paying for it. So I lost. I ended up paying a little bit over $100 or so, maybe 120, 125 or something like that for that mistake. ICHR. Okay, so ALB. ALB would be the trade that I would have taken if I had not listened to anybody in the chat room, unfortunately. Sometimes other people's calls kind of cloud your judgment, and they make you not take a trade that you usually would. It's just, I thought, I was like, okay, well, we'll give it a shot. And obviously the first one I lost, but this right here, shorting under, let's see here. So I'll pull it up as I saw it right here. So right around here, you can see that it pulled up and it hit the 116 mark. It got rejected, but the 9 is curling under it, and the whole number 116 is sitting right here under VWAP and under the 9. So if it breaks under, that's something that I would have shorted, and I would have had 117 as my stop. So what I ended up doing is I shorted it 100 shares right at 116.03. It ended up breaking through down here at 115. My original target was actually 114, since I'm trying to get 2-to-1 on my risk to reward. So if I'm going to risk $100, I'm going to at least get $200. So that's what I was shooting for. As you can see, it actually ended up pulling back up here, and I ended up adding. So 15-20 minutes later, when it pulled back and it started breaking down and I saw it couldn't hold the 116 mark, I actually ended up adding right at 115.94. And what do you do when you add to a position? Remember, you have to move your stop. So what I did is I added on the way down, and I put my stop right here at 116.50. So now, like I said, originally my target was 114, and I was going to keep that. So now I was going to, if it went my way, I was shooting for $400, and I was risking about $100. So that's basically 4-to-1. So I was sticking to my original plan. I was going to try and hold it to 114. So it broke down to 115, but it actually started basing here. And as you can see on here, this one candle just came all the way up. A relatively low volume, but to me, a lot of the times that signifies that there's buyers are starting to step back in. So what I did is I saw it basing out here, and this, as I was actually about getting ready to get out or take my partial, this candle happened, and it shot all the way up here. So remember, my stop was up here, 116.50. And during this time, usually whenever you see something like this happen, you know that buyers are starting to step in. You're going to start curling back up. So whenever you see a spike like this, don't get kicked out of it. Wait for it to come back. Take your partial or take whatever you can out of it, and then you need to get out because it's going to start curling back up. So as you can see, it came back down, and I took my partial right at, let's see here, ALB. I held it a little longer. ALB right here at 11.28. So probably somewhere around here. Yeah, so somewhere right around here. I took it at 115.64. I ended up getting about $75 or so. Not exactly what I wanted, but as you can see, there's just a lot of buyers actually starting to step in here. And it's starting to hold the 9, and it's going to start curling back up to towards VWAP. It could get rejected, it could not, but in this instance, I was actually right. So if I zoom out here, it actually started curling back up. So remember, the 9 is support, and if it breaks up and over, both of them are going to act as support, and it's going to start curling back up. So look at this candle here. Whenever you see a candle like this that has, and you're trying to go short, you see a candle like this that's green, that means that there's a lot of volume behind it. That means that there's a lot of buyers. So it's something that you definitely want to get out of if you're short. Try to stick to your stop, or maybe minimize your risk by getting rid of half your share so you don't lose the full size, and then you'll have a smaller loss. All right, now that was short on ALB. That was a win, but all that did was just make my other loss a little smaller. Okay, now Juno. Juno being my biggest regret for the day. So earlier, let's see here. I think I already covered the Juno trade. No, I didn't. Okay, so Juno, I knew that the 70 mark right here was a lot of resistance. So if I go back, so let's go back here. This actually I ended up losing money on this yesterday. So right here, it tested 70. Right here, it tested 70, and it never broke. And it just broke down, and it kind of came right back. It kind of went sideways, and then it just stayed on for the rest of the day. So Juno was actually on my, let's see here. I'll show you guys the daily so you know what I mean. So Juno gapped up enormously. There's a rumor about it being bought out by CELG, another pharmaceutical company, and it's definitely has a lot of upward momentum. So I marked out that $70 mark, and as you can see right here, it went twice. It tapped, and it's still being pushed up by buyers. Now, my guess was that it was going to break 70 at some point, but as it was dipping right here around the 69 mark, it was kind of spready too. So right here, as it was dipping at the 69 mark, I actually ended up buying 100 shares. I'm like, okay, well, let's just see. I'll buy it down here at some sort of support, and hopefully it'll break 70. I'll just try to ride it out. So my backstop will be the 68.95, and as you can see, the next candle actually ended up breaking this candle, but it was like a false breakout, basically. So it actually ended up flushing all the way down to VWAP. It kicked me out. And right here, I was actually getting ready to fill out an order. So I was putting in, did this, 250 shares. And I put it, as I put the stop limit in, I was filling out all these numbers here. And the very next candle, it shoots up $1. I had absolutely no chance to try to get into this, but it gets even better. Here's the biggest regret, because if I had stuck with this, look at how high it went. It went all the way up to 74.35 within 20 minutes. That's like $800 if I would have filled out the rest of this order, and that definitely would have made my day. But I was kind of busy filling out the order. Usually what I'll typically do, I'll just do a market order, or I'll just do a limit order, and then I'll just put like 70.20, and as it goes through, I'll click through. But honestly, I'm not even really quite sure that this would have filled even with the stop limit at 70.20, because it shot up so fast. There were so many people watching it. Now, if you guys can tell, this is exactly the same pattern that I went over with you guys last week. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, go back a couple of videos and go under the information watch list, and there is actually how to trade a wedge pattern. So just exactly how I explained it. It's just put a top on it, draw the line going up, and as you see it breaking through, you hop in. Now, that was definitely my biggest regret for the day. Now, MNK, let's see here. Right, I saw it right around here. Okay. This is my go-to trade. I would take this trade every single day. Very unfortunate that it didn't work out, but that's just the nature of the beast. That's how it ends up working out a lot of the times. It ends up breaking down, but like I mentioned earlier, it's actually a false breakdown. So what I wanted to do is, obviously it has a lot of downward momentum. It's under VWAP, and if it breaks under the 9, I was going to get in. So my entry was right here at, let's see, it was 29.32, I believe. Yeah, so 29.32. It flashed 29.82 right here at the bid, so I went short, but unfortunately the very next candle, it came right up and it kicked me out. So I was using this candle as my entry and as my risk. So this candle basically marks the whole range for this area. So right here at 29.46, and then my entry was going to be 29.32. As you can see on here, I got in at 29.32 with 700 shares. I got kicked out right at 21.48, risked about $112, lost that. But honestly, I would take that trade every single day. I should have waited probably one or two more pennies till it hit 21.32 just to make sure that it's headed down. But I didn't. Usually my entry is 1 cent below the lower wick of the candle. So very unfortunate, but and it actually ended up not working out. It climbed over the 9. It used it both as support, and it just kept climbing higher. Let's see. Next trade. That was ALB. All right. ESIO. ESIO. So if you guys have noticed the pattern of it keeps climbing over VWAP, the 9, and then it holds and it keeps climbing higher, right? So this was my very last trade. And as you remember, my MNK trade, it broke over VWAP, broke over the range, and it held the 9 VWAP and it just kept climbing higher. So I was like, okay, well, I'll just let it bounce back to VWAP. It should hold, and I'll buy it over 26.40. So it was originally right around here. So I was thinking that right here over this, and I was going to have my stop down here at 26.10. I thought it was going to hold. Typically, when stocks are trending up or they're gapping up, or the overall trend is up, so as you can see, it's gapping up. It's sold off. That's the sellers decided, okay, or the buyers decided to step in here in this area. It came up. It pulled back to VWAP. Usually, that's enough to hold it, and it would start heading higher with the overall trend. But the market today is the overall trend of the market is actually kind of sideways and down. So as you can see, it's a little messy. It's still red for the day, but the market's not really in my favor today. So it's kind of doing exactly the same thing. It just sold off. It came up, and it's just kind of going sideways a little bit. So it didn't really quite hold. I ended up losing $89 on that. There's really nothing I could say about that one. It's a trade that I would take all the time. It's just, but today I need to start waiting for the patterns to actually develop. I think I've gotten a little too complacent on things just kind of working out, and I need to be a little bit more patient. This is the second red day I've had this week. Unfortunately, it kind of erased the gains that I had on Tuesday. I'm overall green for the month. It's just these past 2 days have not. They're relatively small too. They're actually not even hitting my max loss, and I'm basically flat now for the week. It's just I think I need to step back a little bit and be a little bit more patient and wait for things to set up. Just like if I would have taken Juno, if I would have waited for something like this, and this could have made my whole day, and I didn't have to take all these other trades. Sometimes over trading and being can definitely go against you, and the best position that you can be in is in cash. You don't have to be in a trade to be able to make money. Sometimes not being in a trade will make you more money in the long run than rushing things. All right, guys, like I always say, make sure to join our Facebook group below. If you guys have any questions, make sure to leave it down in the comment section below, and make sure to hit the little bell button. It'll notify you next time I put out a video, either informational or perhaps a recap. I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye.